Hi there. Today we're going to be exploring Gothic Luciferianism. I've written about it in many ways, but I took my blog down and refocused it, and a lot of that writing is missing now. So, but I mean, it's in my files, but it's not on my website anymore. I'll probably put them back up there eventually. But Gothic Luciferianism, shadow work, and the conscious exploration of power. One of the most common misunderstandings about Gothic Luciferianism is the assumption that it's a philosophy of indulgence, which traditional Luciferianism is, uh, because it embraces darkness as a subject of contemplation. Many observers assume it encourages surrender to vice, obsession, addiction, domination, cruelty, or hedonism. The reality is, it's nearly the opposite. Gothic Luciferianism is not a philosophy of indulgence, it's a philosophy of observation. I'm going to be making some changes to the channel. It will still be about occultism, but we'll be getting a little bit darker than what I've been putting out lately, and a little more sexual. We're going to start looking at attraction, psychology, fantasy, Gothic literature, the occult, loneliness, intimacy, emotional performance, and the strange emotional theater human beings continually create around one another. And we're going to go into a little bit how BDSM faces those issues and offers clarity rather than confusion. The problem is that I've never been really a performer. I mean, I've been on stage, I've been in plays and stuff like that I can deal with, but this video stuff is, I don't know. I am a reflective observational person. I've always been more interested in watching people than competing with them for attention. I've always done well with women. I know how to talk to them. I know how to deal with them. Sometimes I don't go to the effort because I'm 64 years old. I'm just not really interested right now in developing a sexual relationship without the emotional understanding of a partner that two partners have to have to be able to live with each other or have a true relationship. Sex is not a true relationship. It can be used as a placeholder for whatever you don't have in your life, and then you go out and you say, "Oh, I'm going to get some angry sex. I want to go out and get laid." Blah blah blah. You're using sex to fulfill a need that is there, but you don't know. Like a lot of the videos on attraction that women are making now, teaching men, what to say to a woman to get in her pants, what to say to a woman to turn her on, blah 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 blah. Still, I mean, it's nice to know those things, but if you're learning that because you want sex, you're not going to get a relationship that you really want. you know, you're gonna go out there. You're gonna look for the floozy who's easy to get. You're not going to go for the challenging woman who is confident in herself. You're going to go out there and you're going to find some drunk girl, take her home. And girls do the same thing. They have their needs. They go out and they dress themselves up and they expose themselves and they give themselves to men because they also have a need. I mean, I'm not saying that this is wrong. It's a natural human behavior. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but as far as developing a relationship, it takes more than going after a woman and using these techniques that these psychologists are teaching to get women. That's the way they're framing it. If you want to make a woman wet, use these words, touch them in these places, blah 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 blah. That's fine. I don't care about it. If you're looking for sex, by all means, go do it. uh, the primary concern of Gothic Luciferianism is the development of conscious awareness through the examination of those aspects of human nature that society frequently suppresses, fears, or misunderstands. Rather than running from darkness or blindly embracing it, the practitioner seeks to understand it. The objective is neither repression nor surrender, but conscious integration. At its core, Gothic Luciferian views the individual as existing between competing forces. Desire competes with discipline. Fear competes with courage. Impulse competes with reason. The unconscious competes with conscious awareness. Most people tend to live their lives either obeying these forces unconsciously or attempting to deny they exist. Gothic Luciferian proposes a different path. Observe them directly. This emphasis on observation creates a natural connection to introspection and self-healing. The practitioner is encouraged to examine personal fears, insecurities, resentments, desires, fantasies, and emotional wounds without immediately judging them. These elements are not viewed as evidence of moral failure, but as information about the structure of one's psyche. Every fear reveals a vulnerability. Every recurring fantasy reveals a psychological pattern. Every emotional reaction reveals an attachment or unresolved conflict. By becoming aware of these patterns, the individual gains the opportunity to consciously transform them. In this sense, Gothic Luciferianism shares certain similarities with both depth psychology and the concept of shadow integration popularized by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. The shadow consists of those aspects of the self that remain hidden, rejected, or unconscious. What is denied does not disappear. Instead, it often influences behavior indirectly. Through projection, compulsions, irrational fears, emotional reactivity, and self-destructive habits. The Gothic Luciferian seeks neither to worship nor destroy the shadow. The goal is to illuminate it. This is why the philosophy becomes fundamentally therapeutic. Many forms of suffering arise from internal conflict. Individuals often attempt to present a socially acceptable identity while suppressing significant portions of their actual emotional experience. Over time, this division creates tension between the conscious self and the unconscious self. Anxiety, shame, resentment, self-sabotage, and emotional fragmentation frequently emerge from this split. Healing begins when observation replaces avoidance. The practitioner learns to sit with uncomfortable truths. They learn to observe anger without becoming anger. They learn to observe fear without becoming fear. They learn to acknowledge desire without becoming enslaved by desire. The will, therefore, occupies a unique role within Gothic Luciferianism. Unlike some interpretations of classical Satanism or modern Luciferianism, where the will is often viewed primarily as an instrument for pursuing personal desires and ambitions, Gothic Luciferian treats the will as a faculty that must be strengthened through disciplined self-observation. The purpose of the will is not merely to obtain what one wants. The purpose of the will is to remain conscious while encountering what one wants. A person who cannot resist temptation does not possess freedom. A person who cannot confront temptation also does not possess freedom. Freedom emerges from the capacity to observe, choose, and act consciously rather than react automatically. This principle creates an interesting philosophical connection to BDSM. Yeah, we all kind of laugh at that one because everybody has their idea of what BDSM is. They look at the kink and they look at the sex and they look at the pictures and they look at the videos and they don't really get into what it really is. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. To outside observers, BDSM often appears to be focused exclusively on sex, pain, domination, submission, or fetish expression. While these elements may be present, experienced practitioners frequently describe something deeper occurring beneath the surface. Many BDSM participants engage in highly structured forms of psychological exploration. Boundaries are discussed openly, consent is negotiated explicitly, motivations are examined, trust is cultivated intentionally, emotional responses are monitored carefully. Participants frequently engage in extensive communication before, during, and after these experiences. So it's not a one night stand type thing. You know, with BDSM, you usually develop play partners that you trust, that you play with regularly, that you have relationships with, but it's all with the understanding that while we are filling those base needs, we're also getting the psychological and emotional satisfaction that goes along with clarity and understanding what you're doing. A lot of us just go out there. I mean, I remember when I was young, I went out to the bars and I would get drunk and I would get women drunk. I'd take them home, do my thing with them. They do their thing with me. And sometimes we would see each other once in a while. And sometimes that would just be it, a one night stand. There's no satisfaction in that. But the BDSM lifestyle, the way it's structured, there is satisfaction with it because you're caring about each other's needs. You know, when a woman submits, she wants to submit. When a man is dominant, he understands that abuse is not dominance, that aggression is not dominance. Not that these things don't exist in the community, not that they aren't accepted by some. There are some women who like to be humiliated. There are some men who like to be humiliated. It's really it's a way to, and even if you aren't really into humiliation or being dominated, you can explore those fantasies safely in BDSM. That's the beauty of it. These are precisely the types of human explorations that Gothic Luciferian seeks to understand. A submissive may discover that surrender is not weakness, but a conscious act of trust. A dominant may discover that genuine authority requires responsibility rather than coercion. Both participants may encounter unexpected emotions, insecurities, fears, or psychological patterns that would otherwise remain hidden beneath everyday social performance. The experience becomes less about power itself and more about understanding one's relationship to power. Similarly, BDSM often confronts participants with aspects of themselves they may not fully understand. Fantasies that appear simple on the surface frequently reveal deeper emotional needs involving acceptance, security, recognition, validation, vulnerability, control, or personal transformation. A Gothic Luciferian perspective encourages curiosity towards these discoveries rather than judgment. The question is not whether a desire is socially approved, the question is what the desire reveals. Why does a particular fantasy hold emotional significance? What fear accompanies it? What need does it address? What symbolic meaning does it contain? What aspect of the self seeks expression through it? These questions transform desire from an object of consumption to an object of contemplation. This contemplative approach also explains why Gothic Luciferianism emphasizes responsibility and self-awareness. Same with BDSM, responsibility and self-awareness. Not every impulse deserves expression. Not every desire should be acted upon. Understanding a psychological tendency does not automatically justify it. Just because somebody submits doesn't mean they're going to submit to everything. That's the use of safe words. Everything is consensual. Some things are going too far. So who knows? It depends on the situation, and sometimes they make contracts. Uh, the dominant is always the one who is supposedly in control, but that doesn't mean that he is forceful or coercive. You know, there's an agreement between the two, and they understand each other's limits. So in Gothic Luciferianism, observation comes before action. Awareness comes before indulgence. The practitioner seeks mastery through understanding rather than suppression or excess. When approached in this manner, BDSM can become a form of structured shadow work. It provides opportunities to encounter vulnerability consciously. It exposes hidden fears. It reveals emotional triggers. It challenges assumptions about identity and control. Most importantly, it creates conditions under which individuals can learn more about themselves through direct experience. The connection between Gothic Luciferianism and BDSM, therefore, does not arise from sexuality alone. It emerges from a shared interest in self-exploration. Both encourage individuals to examine aspects of human nature that are frequently misunderstood. Both reject superficial appearances in favor of deeper psychological inquiry. Both recognize that confronting uncomfortable truths can lead to personal growth. Both acknowledge that self-knowledge often requires venturing beyond familiar psychological territory. Ultimately, Gothic Luciferianism is not concerned with darkness for its own sake. Darkness is valuable because it contains information about the self. The shadows are not destinations. They are mirrors. The purpose of entering them is not to become lost within them, but to emerge with greater awareness, greater self-mastery, and a deeper understanding of what it means to be fully conscious. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe, and we'll have another video coming up very soon. Thank you.